Hello, so we are back with Mom, and we are talking about Penny Pinching Mama. She wrote the book 500 Ways I Saved $500 a Month, and we're talking about how we got sick and some of the things that Mom did to go from mostly dead to semi-alive. Maybe. I'm not sure on some days, but...
I know, it's debatable, isn't it?
Yep.
Whether we're still alive or not. In the last video, I did tell you a lot of the symptoms. I'll mention a few more on this, but at this point, we're probably, like I said, it's really hard time at this point. Well, I couldn't keep track of it. I didn't know, I can't remember back at that time, but so it'll be kind of back and forth a little bit. I might skip ahead and then jump back again on some of the things I'm talking about. But it was probably about a year into our illness. I was getting no better. The kids did ever so slightly better than I, where they were able to go to school and start functioning, a little bit more. But I think that was mostly because, first of all, I'd worn my body down to of nothing right before I got sick. I was working such long hours, the responsibilities that, I was carrying, everything. My body was just worn out. And so it probably collapsed a little bit harder. Another thing was, even after I got sick, I was still trying to take care of the kids, be a mom. I had to pay the bills still. I had to, figure out how to get food in our mouth, whether it's order Domino's pizza or whatever. So I had a little more stress level than what the kids had at that time. Not that they didn't have any at all, but I did have slightly more. So we kind of popped back and forth, didn't we? It was like one person would be sick and two others would be better, and then two would be sick and one would take care of the other two. It was just we take cycles. We kind of cycled with this. But for the first year, I pretty much was just out of it. I did just minimum nothing, like hardly anything at all. But three things happened after that first year, and they happened pretty close together, almost within the same time period, that started me on the road, I guess you'd say, to getting a little bit better where I could semi-function like a human being again. And I want to stop here first and say, before I tell you the three things, because the three things kind of covered different areas. One was like a spiritual area, another was emotional area, another was like physical. Yeah. You can tell my chronic fatigue's kicking in. So
one thing, while you're thinking, I hate to interrupt, but to go back just a little bit, on the whole church thing, we had started going to this new church. And were you going to talk about the meals when you asked about meals? I didn't know if you were going to talk about that or not, but...
Well, I thought we mentioned them one time in another video, so I didn't know if I should or not.
So, at this time, when Mom was really sick, you guys may be saying, well, why didn't you just ask your church? So I'll let you tell that again, since it was a while ago. We did ask the church, and I'll let you tell what happened. So the new church.
Well, yeah. So the new church that we were going to, my friend Kathy that I told you about, who got me the name of the superintendent of school in a couple of videos back, and how she helped me get David's school straightened out. Well, the same friend, she went to the church that we went to. She changed over to the church we went to too. And she went to the deaconess board, and she told them, she said, there's a family that goes to this church. Of course, we weren't going at that time because we were too sick, but we had been going faithfully. And she said, they need our help, the church's help. They really do. And they're seriously ill and blah, blah, blah. And one of the ladies said, well, she described our symptoms. They can't get out of bed. They're tired all the time. The moms had to stop working and that type of thing. And the lady stopped her and said, you know what? It just sounds like the mom's just depressed, and she just needs to get her act together and get to work, is what one of the gals said. And several of them kind of, yeah, that's what it sounds like to us. We agree. So we wouldn't be helping her by taking meals into her or anything, because if she just needs to pull herself up and get going here and find herself a job, and do, we don't want to take meals into her because we just make the situation worse. Well, the gal that was head of the deaconess board, she talked about God bringing people into your life. I know I'm like a parrot on this, but it blows my mind. It blows my mind. She asked Kathy who it was that she was talking about, and Kathy mentioned her gave my name. And the gal shook her head. She said, "Oh my goodness, you're kidding." This woman was a gal that I had sold Mary Kay to for quite a while. And I'd always take the stuff to her house and I would visit with her and would, like I did with most of my clients, and would talk to her and everything. And she just shook her head. She said, "There is absolutely no way she's depressed." She said, "I know this woman," and she said she's just the opposite of being ever depressed over anything. I mean, she said, "I've never known somebody who bounces back so much," and blah, 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 start, going on, and maybe I should just keep going on about all the wonderful things. No, not really. But she kept going on. She said she's not depressed. If she is sick, then something's seriously wrong and not working. And she said, "We will take meals into her." So they went and they said, "Okay, well, if you say so, then we'll go ahead and send meals to her." They called me and they said, "We're going to bring meals in for at least a week." Well, I didn't want to be ungrateful, but a week worth of meals was like, in the whole scheme of our life wasn't a whole lot, but I was grateful for just having a week. And so I said, "Oh, thank you very, very much. I appreciate it." And my friend had told him, she said, "Under no circumstances can you send her groceries. She cannot cook. She can't get out of bed to cook, so she has to have full-fledged meals." And she was very specific about this and told him a couple of times, it has to be full meals. And they said, "Okay." So the first day, the kids came home from school that day, and they were starving. I said, "We're just going to have to wait. Somebody's bringing us food in." And we were all excited because this was something to get. We hadn't had a lot of cooked meals at this point in our lives. So we were really excited to have a full-fledged meal and not just cereal again. So we're sitting there waiting. They said they'd bring it at 5 o'clock every day, and we're waiting and waiting. 6 o'clock comes. Nobody shows up. The kids by this time are starving. And nothing. And so finally, about 6:30, the kids were just beyond hungry. And I said, "Okay, go ahead and eat, and we'll just do something else." So they ate, and it was like 8:30, I think it was, later that evening. I get a phone call, and the gal said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I just totally forgot about you. I was busy. I had to pick my daughter up from soccer, and then I had to go to the airport and get my husband, and I was supposed to bring you a meal tonight, but I'm sorry. I know you'll understand, and, these things happen, don't they? And so I just didn't get your meal to you." I had not eaten dinner at this point because I was still waiting, thinking they might come. We were so disappointed. People don't realize how much this meant to us to be getting this food. Food was such a crucial thing because it was hard for us to buy and to fix. But I wasn't really mad. I was just disappointed. So the next day, a lady came and she brought us a really nice meal. The third day, that third day, the lady showed up and, she brought me a box a small box with rice, had a whole bunch of bags of rice, cans of garbanzo beans, and I think
Pinto beans,
bags of pinto beans, rice, pinto beans, garbanzo beans, and oatmeal. And they were all commodities that you could buy at the time that the government would give, the poor people, people that couldn't afford it, they would give them the commodities, which was nothing wrong with that, But that's what this woman brought to me.
She didn't sacrifice anything at all to help us.
No, she didn't. She didn't listen to my friend who said I couldn't cook anything. I mean, it wasn't even a balanced meal worth of stuff. It was just beans and rice. I guess that's a balanced meal. It could be, but and she dropped that off.
Beans.
Yes, garbanzo beans. The next day, I was very disappointed again. The next day, two ladies showed up. And they had several sacks, probably about 4 sacks maybe. I'm thinking, oh, wow, this is great. And they said, we work at the church school in the cafeteria. And she was supposed to bring tomorrow, and I was supposed to bring today, so we both brought ours at the same today, so that, together instead. And she said, at the school today, we were cleaning out the freezer because the food was getting too old in there for us to serve the kids. And we didn't want to throw it away. So we brought this food in for you guys. It was all frozen stuff. None of it was cooked. Some of it was like 6 and 7 years old as far as the dates on it, for expiration dates. Freezer burn like you can't even imagine. And this was the food we got from the church for that week. I almost wish they hadn't brought us anything, because emotionally that hurt more than doing without the physical food. That hurt us more than us having to do without physical food, to be honest. That I wasn't going to cry today, remember? They didn't care. They were so busy with their lives, they didn't care. You guys hear me. You have got to start caring for other people. It doesn't take that much. It doesn't take that much. But you could do something good. And so now I'm getting Tawra crying. So I know you hear me harp about this all the time. Look around and see what people have needs for. And just don't think I'm too busy. Stop being so busy. If you're so busy taking your kids to soccer and ballet and music and French lessons because you want them to succeed in life, you are totally failing here, because you're teaching them to succeed at the wrong things. My kids kill themselves in spite of being sick, of bending over backwards to help other people. That's what I taught them to succeed at, and they're doing it. Tawra may not speak French, and David may not play soccer, but they're there when they see somebody needs help. Michael does too, and so does my daughter-in-law. So I have teach your kids to succeed at the right stuff.
Well,
okay.
That's partly why, once again, we get nasty emails, but that's why we have no patience with this.
No.
There's no excuse.
No, I'm so sick of this excuses.
Excuse. None whatsoever.
Excuses just hurt people and cause blame.
And it's like, I just had this lady blow me off on our trip. I wasted 2 days waiting for her. I wasted $250 in motel rooms waiting for this interview.
Well, and would you have even gone to her state?
I would have not even gone.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of extra driving, too.
I specifically did this. And
people
she
are just
blew me off with oh, that's my life. I'm just busy. It's not funny. It's rude.
No. Yeah, it's rude, unkind, uncaring. You're caring only for yourself and your own life. You're focusing so much on your day planner and what you've got into there, and you won't even look at anything else around you.
I will say this. It really irritates me even more.
Oh, no. I got tired.
Cars getting out of bed. But these Christian parents, especially, I'm talking to you mothers especially. It's the mothers that are the biggest problem. You're taking your kids to Awana. You're taking your kids to youth group. You're taking your kids to this camp, to that camp, to this musical, to that thing. But yet you don't have time to help when someone really needs help. And it doesn't have to be at your church. We help people in our neighborhood all the time.
Yeah.
We help people we don't know all the time. But it is flat out wrong.
Yeah.
And if you're doing all this stuff that you don't have time to be able to help out, your life is seriously out of balance, and you need to get straightened out and stop doing so much.
Well, and when they go to these events at the church, it's all about helping people and how Jesus reaches out and reaching people. And you're so busy learning about it, you don't have time to do it.
Yeah.
And when you're teaching them, it's not really important to do it. It's just important to talk about doing it.
Yeah, yeah, that's what people do. And people almost have blinders on. This is what frightens me is Grandma and Grandpa were so good at this.
Yeah.
People didn't even have to say they had a need. They observed and they saw when a person had a need. You know, they heard one neighbor would say, so-and-so's been sick for so many days. Grandma would take something over or go over and say, what do you need? Or they'd see their yard hadn't gotten mowed. Grandpa would go mow their yard without even knowing for sure. You know, I mean, just hearing somebody else say, well, they've been real, or they've had this going on. What scares me is we don't even see the needs of other people. We are so blinded. We don't even see what people are needing. I think we don't see because we don't want to see. We're so busy, we're not looking around, and we're looking straight at our life, and we're not looking at anybody else's life. And you know what it boils down to? Once you learn to love and really care the way God expects you to love and care, you know, that'll all change. And somebody said, I don't know where I heard it, it said Jesus walked. We always think of these big ministries or big, you know, doing something big in church or doing stuff like this, or we gave this big amount, you know. Somebody said Jesus just he stopped long enough to help the individuals, you know. People, he was looking all the time, and he saw all the time the woman at the well. He was one woman, he was there for her, you know. One blind man, he was there for him. The masses didn't seem to matter as much. I mean, I don't want to say they didn't matter to him, but I mean, he took the time to focus on them, to notice them, because he cared. He cared. So, but...
Well, and part of the problem is Christians don't have, how do I say, they don't have big things really happen to them. We've noticed that, and I admit I have an issue with this, because I will go to these women's meetings, which I've stopped doing. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
it is too discouraging for me, and I just... But I listen to these women, and they talk about how great it is that, you know, God did this and God did that, and that, oh, they were really sick for 6 months, and the church brought in freezerfuls of food. They had moms and sisters and mother-in-laws helping with their kids.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest thing they were upset about was that they couldn't go down and play with their kids. And it really makes me angry that is the worst that has happened. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but that is nothing. There are missionaries that are having their heads lopped off only because they are Christians. They're having their unborn babies ripped from their body and thrown to dogs. And this is what we are talking about? It is so petty. It is so absolutely petty. And I know this isn't the direction we meant to go with this at all, but apparently it needs to be said, because we have got to, as Christians, stop being so self-absorbed. And we're worried about paying for our $60,000 truck and our $500,000 house that we have a $2,500, $3,000 mortgage on. And we can't afford this stuff, so we can't help anyone else because we're so busy working, because both mom and dad have to work.
Mm-hmm.
And you are focusing on nothing but yourself.
Well, you said 6 months of being sick, but we've been hearing about people that it's like a week. They're sick for a week.
And that's their testimony for the women's thing. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. This is the worst we can find in America. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying that is not true suffering.
I know.
I mean, I'm sorry you were really sick and you were in the hospital. And I'm glad that you had that help and that you didn't have to go through this. But I'm not encouraged by that at all. And that's why I don't do anything anymore, because I would come away from those things more discouraged, because I'm thinking there are people in the world with real problems.
Yeah.
And that's why you can call me judgmental all you want. I don't care, but I'm here to give you people a reality check and a wake-up call. Mm-hmm. And it is about darn tootin' time you stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about somebody else.
I think that concerns me. People don't realize Satan. They look at the drugs, they look at the alcohol, or the immorality of the world, states, or whatever. That doesn't concern me near like what I see in the churches, you know.
It's sad.
He's attacked the people of the church in a way that they don't even realize they've been hit.
No, they don't see it at all.
They don't see it, and they've been knocked down, and he's got them right where he wants them.
Yeah.
They don't care. They don't care. That's right where he wants them.
And people don't realize, everyone talks about being connected in the church. And we have been going to a church for 3 years now. We were talking the other night. If we packed, and we have lived in this neighborhood for 6 years now. We were talking about if we packed up and moved in the middle of the night, would anybody even notice?
Well, if we just didn't ever show up anywhere again, would anybody wonder what happened?
Would anybody notice?
It's the same way in my church. I've gone there for 3 years. It's a smaller church. I've sat twice at a meal with the pastor. He wouldn't even know my name.
Yeah.
He wouldn't even know who I was.
And
nobody knows me.
And
nobody's ever invited me to their home. Nothing.
Yeah.
And I try to be friendly. I know somebody's going to say, well, you just need to be more friendly. Listen, that's not it.
Yeah.
I know you guys have, and I know I have gone beyond the call of duty to try to be friendly to people and do stuff. And it's not there. I'm not sure why it's not there.
And, I hate saying this because we like our church and the people are friendly, but we don't feel at all connected really in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
We're involved. We have tried inviting people over. We have people that I honestly believe if we had a tragedy happen, they would come and help us. I really think that they would. But on an everyday level, we don't really feel connected. And that's the problem. Everyone is so busy. And so self-absorbed, and they're so worried about Awana, and they're so worried about youth group, that they don't get out there and actually help people who need it, or their neighbors, or whoever. And I think it's time, and honestly, it may be too late. It may be so far gone now that I don't even know if it's possible. But if this changes the mind to help one person help someone else, then it was worth it. But
if nothing, maybe somebody who's going through the same thing we are, knows it's not them.
Yeah.
Sometimes you wonder, is it?
The other thing is, there was a message about how important it is to have friends, and there are a lot of people that say, "Oh, I want to be friends. We should be friends. Yeah, we'll get together sometime," and that's it. Like, okay, so you sort of step out and try to do something to say, hey, let's be friends, and the person will never ever call you or contact you or even answer your messages a lot of times. I mean, I'm thinking of a number of people here, but the thing I'm thinking is, if you don't want to be friends with somebody, don't say you want to. And if you think it might be nice to be friends with you in another life, but I'm not going to have you in my life now, don't mention it. And if you do want to be friends with somebody, you should just step out and find ways to actually go out of your way. Like, there's a Bible study that I go to, and in the past I've been to a lot of them, and just guys watch video and they make a few comments when the video's over, and that's it. I think I can watch a video at home without anybody else.
I'm having trouble with that at our church. They do nothing but you have to buy the book and they show the video, and even the comments they make are very zombified.
Shallow. Well, in this group, we had a guy who needed some help, and it was kind of difficult, but we had to say, hey, we need to take some time and make this happen, because that's what we say we're about. We should be about that.
Yeah.
And it's not easy necessarily, but it gets easier when you do it more. And the thing about being friends is the same way. You can say, hey, let's be friends sometime or do something, but you actually have to say, when is that exactly going to happen? And some of the stuff like all these meetings and things, what's their real value in your life? In the old days, I hear about Grandma and Grandpa, and they would have people over all the time, and they would just hang out. Well, that's actually connecting with people in real life.
Yeah.
Where they actually are in their lives.
And what they're saying is, by saying we need to be friends, or we need to get together, in their minds they've done it. And so now they don't feel any guilt about it when they don't follow through, because they feel like, because they've said those words, they've done it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what we talk about cleaning your house. You sit down and write this big, elaborate, nice schedule out. I'm going to do this on Monday and this on Tuesday, and you get it all written out, but you never clean your house. But in your mind, you think you've done something because you've written all this cool stuff down, so you don't feel guilty about not getting the house clean, type of thing.
Yeah.
But something needs to change. I went to a thing at the church a few months ago where they were making blankets for victims, sexual abuse victims. Is what I'm trying. We were making blankets for them, and we were all in this room working on these blankets. And I'm fairly new, seemed to be new, because I don't, I try to talk to people. I go up to them, talk, and we were working, and I noticed these this one gal was working on her blanket totally by herself. I was working with another couple on my blanket, only because I went over to them and asked them if I could help them with theirs. Nobody had come to me, but I'd gone and asked them. They said, oh, yeah, that's fine. So I was working with them and visiting, and I kept watching, and this gal, I thought somebody was going to go talk to her. Nobody did. Finally, I got their blanket done, and I went over to her, and I started asked her if she'd like some help on her blanket too, and she said, yeah. And I was helping her, and she started talking, and this poor lady, she hadn't been to the church very long at all. Her husband had abused her, and she was kind of like had to leave him in a hurry. She just walked out of the house with nothing. And I mean, he'd beaten her and all this stuff. And she was just spewing everything, telling me what all happened. She said she appreciated me coming over and helping her with her blanket. Nobody was talking to this poor woman. Nobody was talking to her. And she was just working there by herself. And I thought, what? I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I didn't know if she was new or if she'd been there. That's where I have trouble. I don't always know who's been there or not. But, and there's people out there that just want to visit and talk, and we're not even doing that.
And the churches get, oh boy.
How did we get on this?
I'm trying to be sensitive, because we're kind of in the middle of this now, and I know some of the people at our church watch our videos. So I'm not trying to be negative or whatever, but people are so focused on having coffee, having cookies, having breads, having special things out for
at church,
Christmas and Easter at church to make people feel welcome, because they think, oh, we need to have coffee so people will linger around and visit. We need to have this so people will linger around and visit. It is not the coffee. It is not the breads.
Yeah.
It is the people of the church who have a problem.
Yeah. But see, they're thinking by doing that, they don't have to get emotionally involved. Yeah. They're doing physical stuff So they don't have to get emotionally involved, or
Yeah.
that type of thing is what's happening.
But you have to get personally involved with individual
You
people.
do. That's the only way it's
And the
going
thing
to.
is,
They're trying to fix an emotional and spiritual thing with a physical thing, and you can't do that.
Well, and the other thing is, it has to be one-on-one with individual people, because if you come and you speak to 100 people and you leave, they may think something they haven't thought before, but it's not going to touch them and help them in their actual lives.
If every church member every week would just take and talk to one person sincerely, it would totally change everything. I'm not saying you have to go and be the greeter and talk to every single person. You can't physically do that. But each person should take the time and talk to one person and and see how they're going. And I'm an introvert, and I know that's hard to do. I get it. But
you need to go beyond just saying, "Hi, how are you today?" and then shake their hand and walk out the door. There was a new gal.
And they give you a hint when you say that. You say, "Hi, how are you today?" "Oh, I'm pretty good."
And there's days
if you say, "Are you really?" or if you say, "So tell me about that," or something, they'll then suddenly say, "I'm completely falling apart. My life's in the toilet.
That's what I
come back
saying.
to church for the first time."
We kind of lost the art of how to carry on a conversation. We don't know how to do that.
Watch some videos. Read a book on how to have a conversation and actually talk to people.
We need to relearn that. See, I went to this young gal. She was sat by herself. Nobody came and said hi to her. So as soon as the church service was over, I went over and introduced myself to her, and she told me her name, and I said, and that was it. And usually that's where it ends. She tells me her name, and I say, "Well, it's nice to have you," and leave. But instead, what I did was I said, "Are you from Wichita, or do you live here in Wichita, or are you just visiting?" That starts a little bit of the, she said, "No, I'm living in Wichita, but we just moved here from Louisiana, from New Orleans." "Oh, really? Is your family okay? The hurricane had just hit, is your family okay?" "Oh, yeah, they're fine." I mean, I'm starting a conversation, and she's starting to talk. The next Sunday, I talk to her again, and I find out she has a little boy. I now have spoken to her just a few times. I know that her cat almost died this one week, and she didn't know if she was going to make it. This past week, she's having trouble with her daycare, and she's really worried and concerned, and I know all about that and everything. And, it didn't take that much. It didn't take that much, just talking. And she now, the past 2 times, she's come over to me to talk to me because she's so excited, because I think I'm the only one in the church that talks to her.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is so sad. And since I feel like I'm a newer member there, I'm thinking, what happened to all the old members? What are they doing with this?
And this isn't a mega church problem. We've been to small churches. We've been to big churches. It's just a problem with Christians in general.
Yeah.
And, and that's why a lot of people are church hopping, because they don't feel connected. And
it's a real big problem.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people we get comments with our stuff that they can't find a church, or they're having trouble finding a church.
Yeah.
And it's getting a lot worse, and it's really sad. It's just not.
I do think that people are afraid if they try to get into someone's life a little bit, that they're going to get totally sucked in, and that they're going to have to serve that person exclusively for the rest of their lives. Not that it's going to be a relationship where you have some connection. In other words, I think people imagine it being a big, huge responsibility to ask somebody the next question how they're doing. Like, what am I going to then have to do if I talk to them and they actually tell me something?
Some of it is too just fear of something new, somebody new,
And people have gotten so disconnected, they don't even know how to truly connect.
No, they don't they don't. No. They really don't. Like, we talk to each other. We, as a family, we pretty much open up to each other. We don't know all of each other's secrets, but we do, if something's wrong with Tawra, David knows it within 2 seconds that something's wrong, or something's wrong with Mike. Good and well the whole family's going to know, right, Michael? If we're going through something or something's hard, I know. But we're pretty open with each other, and we get involved, and people And so it comes kind of natural with us. People don't want to get involved. They don't know how to get involved. They weren't raised in a family where they got involved. They just don't know how to open up, or people just don't know. Maybe, hopefully, this will help some people learn. You just step up and you just say hi. You just say, that is a pretty necklace. Where did you get that? And you can start a whole conversation off. Well, you maybe wouldn't want to say that, Michael, but you can.
It doesn't mean you're never going to have to. It doesn't mean you're never going to be able to spend a moment away from that person after you say hi.
No, it's not. You're just being kind.
Yeah.
You just have to be kind. Learn basic kindness. And this was not what this video is supposed to be about.
But maybe it was supposed to be, and someone will help. So we will wrap up this one, and we'll do the next one here on things that helped you and those kinds of things. But yeah, I mean, it's a problem. And if you're in that situation, it's not you. It is a problem across all of the Christian community, all of the Christian churches. Evangelical Christian churches are falling down on the job. And individual Christians are the only way it's going to step up and help. And it's up to you to make that effort. It's up to you to take that meal.
Because you are the church. You are the church.
Yeah. And one tip I would like to say for this, when we take meals to people, unless there's a group of us that are specifically have said, I'm bringing bread, I'm bringing meat or whatever, I make sure I bring everything from bread, vegetable, main dish, and dessert. Mm-hmm. And I make the whole thing up, and I do it in disposable containers. Everything is disposable. I bring silverware,
napkins, plates,
everything,
bowls, whatever is appropriate.
Yes. So if you're in that situation where you will help someone, please, it is $1 at Dollar Tree for disposable containers, for 3 disposable containers. You can do that. You can get a thing of French bread and a rotisserie chicken if you can't cook. And a thing of brownies.
That's another thing. Somebody says, well, I don't cook, but you know what? The meals that they brought us, where they brought a rotisserie chicken and that.
It's perfectly fine.
That was such a treat for, if we ever got anything like that, that would have been such a treat.
Yeah.
And so don't use I don't cook as an excuse.
Yeah. And the thing is, stop making excuses and just do it. And do it in a way that actually helps people listen to what they say. And, don't make it hard, but, go out and help. So.
Well, here, I know we wanted to get this off, but I wanted to bring this up too. I remember years ago, after Dad first left, I stayed in the adult Sunday school class of teenagers. And every month, the parents would do something with the teens for the teens' activity, Saturday activity. And they would do basketball, they would play baseball, they would do something like that. So this one day I remember sitting in this class and they said, what are we going to do this month for the kids to do stuff with our teenagers? First of all, I'm thinking, why are you doing stuff with the teenagers? Aren't you doing them at home with your kids? But they acted like this was the only time they got to see their kids, but that's another story, and I'm not going to get off on there. So, but they said, what should we do? We've already done the basketball. We've already done the baseball. What is there left? We have nothing else to do. So I tentatively raised my hand up, and I said, instead of doing always a sports activity or watching a movie together, I said, maybe one Saturday you could pick somebody who needs a fence built, or an elderly person that needs their house cleaned.
Or painted,
or something done like that. Could we find somebody that needs that done? I said, it doesn't even need to be an elderly person. And this was, I think, shocked them. I said, we don't have to wait for a single woman, which is wonderful. If we have somebody like that, we should do it first. But we could do it for a couple that's building a fence in their backyard. What if we all showed up on that day and we helped them get that fence done? They may have enough money, they may not be by themselves, but wouldn't that be nice? We could show the teenagers how to use a hammer, they would be learning a skill, and at the same time they would learn how to help other people. and we would be interacting with just giving the average couple like you guys, a little boost. Wouldn't you love it if somebody had come over and helped you with your fence from the church and get it done in one day to make your life easier?
We had one person, I think, offer to help us when we had a big construction project we were working with in the middle of our court battle.
Yeah.
And I think it was just one person.
Yeah. Wouldn't that have helped you?
Yep.
And you know what? They shot me down like you can't imagine. They said, there is no way now listen, there is no way our kids would want to do something like that.
So what if they don't want to do it?
We have to do fun stuff to keep them interested.
That's what Jesus said to do. Go out and do the fun stuff and sideline all those troubled people.
This is what I heard from these adults.
I mean, I
was so flabbergasted, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Because they were missing opportunities on so many levels, even to bond with their kids, to teach their kids how to do things so that they could succeed later on and have a constructive something they could learn to do.
Yeah.
This is our mentality now, and if somebody doesn't think there's something warped about that,
what's funny is while people aren't doing it, people are watching lots of movies and reading lots of books about how awesome it is when other people do it that are fictional people.
And that's sad.
And
we
that
holler about our
kids
kids being on the computer all the time, but these poor kids are having to learn this stuff off of YouTube on the computer. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I say watch this stuff. I've learned so much off of YouTube.
But you can't learn social skills on YouTube.
Yeah,
what you learn is you think it's social, but it's not.
Yeah. You don't learn bonding with mom and dad, with other people, with, helping. You don't have that feeling. There's a reason God said we should give and help, because we think it's for the other person always. It's not. The more you give, the more you help. It does something to you emotionally that makes you a different person, and you'll never be the same. It helps you more than anything. So,
yeah.
But now that I got us off, I'll let you close.
Sorry, I'm having to write Elly a note to ask her to go get David from school because we ran over. So we still have to finish our last video.
I know.
All right, and so for those of you who are going to send me an email that our videos are too long, no one is forcing you to watch it.
Or you can watch it in segments.
You can watch it in segments. But this is just who we are. We keep trying to cut them down. It's not working. So you know what? Just deal with it. So
you can actually pause it and then right-click on the screen and it says get the URL at this point. Yeah. You could paste that into another document and later on you could just click on that and it'll take you right to the spot where you were wanting to pause it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Anyway, we have something to say. We're gonna say it. So, all right, guys. So, check out Penny Pinching Mama, 500 Ways I Lived on $500 a month. And we will be back with our next segment on the CFS solutions. So, anyway. All right. Visit us at livingondadime.com.
Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah. Like, subscribe, and share. I keep forgetting that. Please subscribe. Goodbye.